Welcome back, true believers. This is Marvel Maniac, an MCU Aftershow. This is Eric Sequeira, your host, aka Mr. Honest. And today, we're swinging into something a little bit different. I was ready to go back to 2002 with Tobey Maguire for episode 199. But then the rumor mill started buzzing, and like J. Jonah's office printer, Spider-Man 4 may not be called Home Again, or New Home, or anything with the word home at all. It might just be called Brand New Day. I mean, that's what it is called, technically, but we haven't seen much from it. But on-set photos and whatnot, there's a lot to speculate about it. And when you hear that title, as a longtime Spidey fan, your heart kind of stops for a second, because you know what that means. It means change, reset, possibility. It means Peter Parker starting over from nothing again. So, what does Brand New Day mean in the comics? In the comics, Brand New Day, followed by One More Day, the infamous story where Peter makes a deal with Mephisto to save Aunt May at the cost of his marriage to Mary Jane and the world's memory of his identity. Very tragic, extremely sacrificial, and very dark for a Spider-Man story. But that's where Tom Holland, his Spider-Man, ended with a sacrifice of his identity, so his friends and family were safe. So the people he loves were safe, because he just lost Aunt May, because he needs to be alone in the world so his people can live in it. When the dust settles, Peter wakes up in a world where nobody knows he's Spider-Man. That's a good thing and a bad thing. People remember Spider-Man, but they don't remember Peter Parker. A lot of this is probably accumulated in my brain from Screen Crush. Ryan Airy is always fueling me and inspiring me. I know for a fact I've heard the Brand New Day, One More Day comparison on his show. And although many people probably talk about it, I totally will give Screen Crush credit for like putting that in my mind probably upwards of maybe more than 2 years ago. However, No Way Home left Peter Parker in a position of, I wouldn't say isolation, but a little bit more like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man when he's beginning, but even a little more lonely. He's in an apartment. He's striving for himself. He's getting his GED. He's starting over on his own. And that's a very vulnerable spot to leave this Spider-Man. So if Marvel Studios pulls that title into the MCU, they're not just borrowing a name, they're signaling a philosophy. They're telling us this is a rebuilding era. A Peter who's lost everything, friends, mentors, even his own place in the universe. And that all has to start from scratch for him. The end of No Way Home is like the moment after the circle shot for Avengers, but this time the camera spins around one man in a tiny apartment with a police scanner and a sewing kit. Same heroic DNA, different scale. When they introduced Spider-Man joining the MCU for Civil War, that changed everything. Up to that point, all fans wanted was a complete MCU where anyone, any character, any franchise could enter and mirror comic book stories and bring to life some of the most iconic scenes you could possibly imagine when the Avengers team up together. It honestly, in the moment, made you hope that we would have Spider-Man singular, new, but getting to know the Tom Holland version. I wanted him to have a future. I wanted to say 10 years later, he's still going as Spider-Man, because that's what the MCU is all about, long, continuous payoffs. And I think this movie, Brand New Day, is a brand new start for this franchise, meaning I seriously do consider this as the first of at least another trilogy for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And that's not including the future Avengers movies, whether or not he's in them, to be exact, too. Or at least Doomsday. There's plenty of theories going around. We'll touch up on a few. So let's tread carefully into this speculation territory. I was just saying, trilogy, what movies are going to be in, what not. Rumors are flying faster than vultures' wings, right? We've heard talk of Matt Murdock returning, Kingpin making moves, and maybe even a certain Human Torch crossing paths with our webhead. The biggest confirmed crossover is The Punisher. Crazy team up, because if you've seen The Punisher, if you know The Punisher, he's a very gory R-rated hero. However, John Barenthal brings so much to the part. He's such a phenomenal actor that it's going to be insanely cool to see him collaborate with Spider-Man. I love when Spider-Man gets into the gang territory of things. And I think, honestly, Daredevil will be in it. I think Kingpin will be in it. It is confirmed that this movie will take place after the events of Daredevil Born Again Season 2. There's also a Punisher, I've been talking about it for a while, a Punisher mini movie special coming to Disney Plus. We don't know when. It could be after Brand New Day. It could be between Daredevil and Brand New Day, or before all of it. Who knows? Whether those rumors are true or not, what they say is clear. Marvel is laying down the street level roots. Again, think about it. After multiversal chaos, what does the audience crave? The Spider-Man audience, to be exact. Something grounded. That's where Spider-Man really shines. Not in the quantum realm, but in Queens. Listening for sirens, wondering if the rent is paid. Every time Marvel gets bigger, they bring it back home. Similar to, let's just use the example of the Avengers going into Iron Man 3. We get Tony Stark, pretty much if not one of the biggest main characters of the whole franchise, coming back from an alien invasion and learning about the fallout on his mental health for that. It makes you feel the Battle of New York in retrospect and get into Tony's head even better. And back to Peter, he's always been the character who reminds us why the heroes start small. This is Marvel resetting the emotional clock, similar to that Iron Man 3. A new supporting cast, maybe a college setting, maybe a new love interest who isn't a recreation of MJ. Possible. Something that lets Peter find out who he is without the Stark shadow or the Doctor Strange magical guidance, which kind of led him here. I think that one moment where Doctor Strange said you didn't even try to talk to the person at the college to get them back in before you decided I change everyone's memory. It's a good point from Doctor Strange, and that's where everything spirals for him in No Way Home. There's been some very public, let's say, like images, right? Pictures coming off a set. I'd say it's definitely publicity for Marvel and Sony. They are totally leaking these images on purpose. They want to show you Spider-Man, that he's coming back, that he's in a new iconic looking suit, very classic, very reminiscent of the Raimi era. It seems to be paying homage, and that's what I really love. What I love about the MCU Spider-Man is it doesn't ignore the other Spider-Man. It actually made them a part of the story in No Way Home, and I do think that his journey with those Spider-Men is not complete yet. I do sincerely believe they will team up yet again. So yeah, the Doomsday question has been keeping fans awake at night. If Doomsday is the next big Avengers movie, why would Spider-Man be missing? The biggest rumor. He's not in that movie. I don't know if that's 100% confirmed, but that's the stronger rumor than him being in it. Right now, no Spidey. Let's be real. Marvel needs space to let him breathe. He's the most grounded hero in a cosmic franchise. And we just put him in a cosmic movie. I mean, it's been a couple years, yeah. But his last movie was cosmic as heck with the multiverse. All the villains, multiversal villains. We want a little more street-level action from our Spidey before we go into the full multiversal war of Doomsday and Secret Wars. Putting him front and center again so soon might undo the intimate power of that final scene in No Way Home. But, on the other hand, he might be remembered by the Avengers because they knew him as Spider-Man. Most of them didn't know his secret identity. So maybe he's not missing. Maybe he's recovering in the events of Doomsday. Maybe his absence is part of the story. Possibilities. All right, let's just go through a few of them. One of them is that he's stuck between universes after Doctor Strange's spell fractures, right? Or he's hiding himself to protect himself from the multiverse. He's recruited by the Spider Society. Miles Morales connection, anyone? The thing that bothers me is that I love the possibility of Peter actually being brought to that place from into this across the Spider-Verse where all the Spider-Man live in kind of like a peaceful city. It's more of a hub for them. And I think Peter Parker can totally be brought there, but I don't think Into the Spider-Verse, I think it's going to be called, I don't know what it's going to be called. There's a name for it out there somewhere. Across the Spider-Verse, that franchise. Peter can totally join that. They showed the Childish Gambino as Uncle Aaron, the Nightcrawler, IRL, real human meets cartoon energy in that one scene, if you remember it from Across the Spider-Verse. Every hero has to disappear before they can be transformed. And maybe he's simply building his life, and that's a war all on its own. Tony had his cave, Steve had the ice, Thor had exile, and maybe Peter's version of this is silence, at least for the events of Doomsday. Maybe he doesn't want to throw away a life he's just rebuilt for the 15th time, where he's finally present and as Spider-Man in his own right. Maybe he doesn't want to be an Avenger anymore. I doubt he resents the Avengers, but at the same time, the Avengers for him was really Tony Stark bringing him in. And I think the person he respects most was Tony Stark, and he's going to follow some of that independent mentality that Tony has. The first Avengers movie, prime example, Steve Rogers asked Tony as he's about to confront Thor taking Loki. He says, "We need a plan of attack," Captain America says, and Iron Man says, "I have a plan, attack." So that's like the mentality that Spider-Man might carry a little bit of over while he's becoming more mature and more confident in his role as Spider-Man. I think this will be the first movie where he's not he's an underdog always, Spider-Man, but he's not actually starting off new and fresh. We don't feel like he's still training to be Spider-Man. He's earned his badges. He's Spider-Man now. So in the craziness of all this, what does the title Brand New Day really promise? It says to me that the sun still rises for Peter Parker. After grief, after erasure, after sacrifice, there's still hope, and there's still endurance and drive for him to save New York from the baddies. Brand New Day is not about forgetting. It's about choosing to begin again. He's lost everything and everyone, but not himself. And that's the heart of Spider-Man, the refusal to quit. As a creator, I get that. Every episode I make, every time I hit record after a setback, it's a brand new day. And that's the real superpower, showing up again. So when we see Peter don that hand-stitched suit one more time, or 5 more times, or honestly, just let him play Spider-Man until he's Hugh Jackman's age, keep him definitive. Make the alternate universe Spider-Man 4 for Tobey Maguire. Make the alternate universe Amazing Spider-Man 3 with Andrew Garfield. Keep the Spider-Man swinging until there's Spider-Man fatigue, and knock down that Spider-Man fatigue into everyone always wanting Spider-Man at all times through the rest of history as it comes. I'm kidding. In a way, I want to see Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire more than anything, to be honest with you. So maybe we'll speculate a little bit about that in the future. So when we see Peter swinging past the camera through snowy New York at the end of No Way Home and the score rises, that's Marvel telling us that rebirth is possible still. We may not see Peter in Avengers Doomsday, but maybe that's the point. Right now, going in, without the speculation, just what we know, the fact that there's another movie coming based off of what happened in the last movie, his fight now isn't with or against Doctor Doom, it's against hopelessness. It's against disappearing, and maybe, just maybe, that's what makes him the most relatable Avenger of them all. Because for all of us who've ever had to start over, we know that feeling. You wake up to an empty apartment, no one remembers your name, but you still pull the mask over your face and go swinging into the day. We're all our own Spider-Man, going to work, getting up, facing the future that may be uncertain and scary, but standing bold, strong, and powerful, looking right into it and staring it in the eyes, saying, "I'm coming. This is the future, and I'm going to be a part of it in my own way." That's Spider-Man. That is resilience, and that's why the title Brand New Day might be the most hopeful thing Marvel's announced in years. Next week, episode 200 will be titled My Own Hero. We'll be talking about some themes including mental health and what superhero movies, especially the MCU, can bring to someone's life in a hard time. And it's going to be very deep, and it's going to be behind the scenes, and I hope you're okay with an episode like that. As listeners, this is a big milestone, episode 200. It's huge. I never thought I got here being where I was, which you'll learn about a little bit about next week in My Own Hero. And I'm so excited to share that with you. The story of how this show found its way home. But today, we honor the kid from Queens standing up one more time. Patreon.com/MarvelManiac. I just uploaded the best, if not coolest, mini-sode about the Avengers assembling and that iconic circle shot from the first Avengers. We have 5-minute mini-sodes dropping every week. And don't you worry, if you can't pay for a subscription, which if you do, you get a spot on our Wall of Heroes in our About section of our show. Michael Finney, I'm looking at you. I'm always calling Michael Finney out of the crowd because he's been there and he is our total ambassador of the Wall of Heroes. Join it. Be a part of it. But if you can't pay, don't worry. What I do every week now, since we have so many mini-sodes, is every time I release a new mini-sode, I unvault an older one from about 2 to 3 months ago. We have about over 20 episodes now, so there's always something for you. Even in the Patreon, there's a free way to subscribe. You could still be a part of our conversation, an equal part of our community without even having to pay. If you do want to pay, that would be great. It helps the show. It helps me. This is my job. This is what I love to do. This is everything I've ever wanted, was to host an awesome podcast about superheroes. And the first priority of that is bringing people together to live that hype with and to hype it all about, because I'm crazy about the Avengers and Doomsday, and it's so far away, Doomsday. So the real next step is SpiderMan Brand New Day, and that's why we're talking about it. We will speculate more. Maybe we'll do a bigger episode when it comes closer to the movie after we've seen the trailer, which probably shouldn't be too far from dropping. And yeah, link tree in the description. You get the Patreon in there. You can find my other podcast, Magic Muggle, a Harry Potter after show. We just started Prisoner of Azkaban. We're going to be covering the new HBO series whenever it shows up. Loving the Potterverse as well. Join it. Is Harry Potter worthy of being an Avenger? That's our next mini-sode. No, it's not, but it's kind of a fun idea to think about. So anyway, thank you again for listening. Your time here means the world. I'm not going to prolong this any longer. Until next time, Avengers, disassemble.